the artistic box. I am really excited that you're here today. We are going to have so much fun working on really cool watercolor pictures. So we are going to do this really neat like forest scene of evergreen trees and some mountains in the background, and we're just going to have fun. So let's go ahead and go over everything in your box and we'll see what you need, okay? And then we'll get started. So first of all, you should find this, okay? This is a gold Sharpie, and this will be to write your words. Don't worry, I would never make you watercolor words. That's just too hard. And then you're gonna have a palette, okay? I've already added some paint to my palette. And you'll have your colors, okay? Some Viridian green and some violet. And then you'll find this really cool brush. This is called a fan brush, and if you've never used a fan brush, oh my goodness, you are going to love this. It's just fun. You're just gonna have fun with it. So we'll use a fan brush. The only thing you will need is a cup of water, okay? You can fill it like halfway up, and a paper towel to kind of dry off your brush and dab it dry whenever you're switching colors. And then, of course, your piece of paper, okay, your watercolor paper. So I'll show you what we're gonna work on. And this is the picture, okay? It says merry and bright, but you are welcome to change any of the words you want. So at any time during this picture, you're like, oh, I want to add another mountain, or I want it to say Merry Christmas, or I want it to say Happy Holidays. You just go for it. Change whatever you want. This is your picture, your painting. Okay, so we are going to get started. And just to let you know, during this time, whenever you are painting or anything happens, maybe like you drop color on your paper or you put something on the paper that you don't like, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your paper towel, you're gonna dip it in some water, and then you're gonna like gently dab it dry, okay? Sometimes that will work and it'll erase any color you have on there. So that's the best way I think that you can get erased color off of your watercolor paper, okay? So don't worry, if you have a mistake, it's fine, you can fix it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start first with our mountains. So grab your fan brush, okay, and dip it in some water. So this is watercolor, you always want your brush to be wet, okay? You never want to have a dry brush. And we're gonna start our outline first. So you're gonna dip it in a little bit of your green, okay? And you're gonna kind of outline those 3 mountains in the background, okay? So if you live near mountains, you might want to add more or add, less, okay? Or you might want to make it real rounded if yours aren't very steep. So you're gonna get your brush, you're gonna dip it in some water, and then you're gonna dip it in your green, okay? And you just want a little bit on there. So if you can see, I have a very small amount of paint on my brush. It's mainly water. And the reason why is because in case I mess up, I do not want to have a dark outline. I want it to be like really, really soft. That way I can just erase it with my paper towel. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start outlining our mountains. So come on the left side of your paper and you're just gonna draw a line. You're really making triangles, okay? If you can do a triangle, then that's all you're gonna do. So take your brush, do a triangle at the top, okay? And how this fan brush works is you're gonna hold it just like this, okay? And that way you can hold it like that and it makes a real thin outline, okay? You're looking for a really thin line. So we're gonna outline our mountains, okay? So there's one. I'll make mine a little darker because y'all need to be seeing what I'm doing. So you make yours light, okay? I'm gonna make mine a little bit darker so you can see really what I'm doing, okay? Okay. And I'll get my brush really wet. Let's use a little bit more paint. Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're just outlining your mountains, okay? There's one, all right, that's our first triangle, okay? And then our next one is gonna be right here in the middle. What's so cool is this one will come right in the middle of your paper, okay? So if you're wondering where it goes, find the center of your paper and right there, and then do a triangle right there, okay? That's gonna be that further back little mountain. And then the very last peak, you're gonna come over here and it meets this other one and it goes off the paper, just like that, okay? Now, since you're painting with your paper flat, yours shouldn't have a problem running, okay? So mine doesn't have a problem running because I'm not painting with it flat. Okay. So now we have our outline. Now we can add a little bit of that violet color. So go ahead and get a little bit of that violet color on your brush, okay? Just a little bit. You can still have that green on there. And we're gonna add a little bit of that violet. When violet mixes with darker green, it kind of turns out like this gray color, okay? So we're gonna add a little bit of that violet to our mountains, all right? Okay, so just like that, we're gonna add a little bit of lines right here. You can make your mountain thicker, okay, so they really stand out. So if you can't see your mountain very well, make it a little thicker, okay? So I'm gonna go over it and add some violet. Okay. All right, so make sure your mountains are dark enough. Remember, you can always do another layer too. So if you're like, oh, that really dried white, go back over it. It's no big deal. Okay. All right. The main thing is starting out light, and that way if you mess up, it's not hard to fix, okay? That's the best part, is starting out really light. Okay, so here are your mountains, okay? Now, what this fan brush is mainly used for, I think, is trees. Okay, you are going to love it. You're gonna see it kind of creates a natural texture for tree limbs, especially like Christmas trees, evergreen trees. So now that we have our mountains, now we're gonna start our lines for our tree trunks. So you're gonna get that same color, okay, kind of like that green, kind of watered down, a little bit of that violet on there, okay? And we're gonna do lines all over the bottom of our watercolor, and those lines are gonna be where your trees will go. So let's do lines here and here. Okay, you can make yours a little thicker. All right, we're just gonna do lines everywhere. A few lines here, some long, some short. Okay, and don't worry, this isn't gonna turn into a painting of trees, I promise. So just stick with me, okay? If you've ever done an art box before, you know that there's probably a very real, ugly stage to painting. There just is. And it's in like that middle portion of your picture when you're like, oh my goodness. I hope this turns out okay. Okay, so you're gonna do a line here. I mean, there's really no wrong way to put a tree. There's trees that grow all over the forest. So you're just adding lines. Okay, we can always go back and add another tree if you missed an area or you feel like it has like a dead spot somewhere. So I'm still tilting my brush like this, okay? And I'm just creating lines, all right? That's all I'm doing, okay? So go ahead, make sure that your lines look similar to those, okay? And you can make them thicker, you can make them darker. Remember, this is your picture, okay? You are able to kind of change it up and do whatever you want, all right? So let's just make sure we have enough tree trunks. We can always go back and add some more, okay? Maybe put one more right there. All right, so here's your tree trunks, okay? And here comes the fun part, because we are gonna start painting our trees. So I like a contrast. I like light and dark in pictures. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna want your brush kind of watered down of some green, okay? And a little bit of that violet color. So go ahead and in your little pod, in your palette, you're gonna mix together some violet and some green, okay? And it's pretty watery. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up here on top of our lines, okay? And we're gonna swoosh out. So we'll kind of do some swooshing on the right, swooshing on the left, okay? And that's gonna create your lines for your top of your trees, okay? So you're gonna swoosh, 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 and then swoosh, okay? And I'm gonna make mine a little darker maybe a little more green. I think that has a little too much violet. You're just gonna play around with your colors, okay? There's no wrong way to do this. You can do some darker, some lighter. All right, you're just swooshing a little bit, okay? What you'll start to see is that this brush, because it has a fan shape, it naturally looks like trees, okay? So you're just adding really tree limbs all over your trees, okay? You're just swooshing all over, all right? You can make them kind of come lower, have a sharp point at the top. When you want a sharp point, you're gonna turn your brush just like how we did the lines, okay? All right, so let's go on to our next few trees. I've just started on the far right and I'm working my way over to the left, okay? And I'm just adding, I'm continuously mixing a little bit of violet, a little bit of green, a little bit of water, okay? And you're just adding swooshes all over your trees, okay? And some of them you want to stand out, some of them you want to kind of be watery, so they're not like exactly clear. It kind of gives it a cool look of it like fading in the background, okay? You can have your trees touch, all right? By the time you get done, you're gonna be an expert at making evergreen trees. You probably make your own greeting cards. Okay? So we're just keep on going. You can keep on swooshing your little trees out to the side, okay? If you feel like the tree trunk needs to be longer, add some more at the bottom where your tree trunk is, okay? If you need a little bit more violet in there, add some more violet. All right? You're just making all your trees, okay? Kind of be relaxing once you get the hang of it, okay? And you don't want all your trees to be the same height. So kind of make some of them taller, some of them shorter, okay? Some darker, some more obscure, so add a little bit of water. I'm gonna make this tree trunk a little bit longer. So if you're kind of like, oh my goodness, my trees are really short, looks like they've had their growth stunted, come back and add some at the bottom, okay? And we are almost done with our trees, oh my goodness. Okay, so keep on adding that. We want our trees to be real thick. Now, if you can kind of go back and see, do you see how some of these look like there's like a dead spot? There's like an empty spot that you need to fill, okay? So maybe here's kind of an empty spot that needs to be filled. Maybe having another tree right here at a different height. That might be good. And then having a little bit maybe more definition down here. So you can kind of go back and look at your picture, kind of hold it far back from you and think, oh no, what does that need? Does it need something? If you're like my 5-year-old, he thinks everything he does is great. So maybe you're really happy with everything you did on your picture. And that actually is my goal. I hope you are happy with this. Okay, or at least having fun. If it turns out terrible, you can always give it away as a Christmas gift. Okay, it's the thought that counts. All right, so now that our trees are pretty much finished, now what we want to do, I'm gonna add a few more tops. We want to go back and make sure that all of our tops of our trees are sharp. So get a little bit of paint on your brush and you're gonna make a thin line at the top. You want all of your trees to have kind of a sharp point, okay? So go up at the top and add just a little bit of a sharp point. That way your trees really look like they are real evergreens, okay? They have kind of a sharp point to them. And then what we're gonna do next is after we get finished with that, we are going to obscure the entire background. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add some water to all of our color of our green and our purples, and we're gonna kind of watercolor the whole entire background where there's not really that much white space left. We'll have kind of like a watery, dense forest, okay, of watercolor trees. So you don't want to have a whole bunch of white. So you're going to get your brush, dip it in some water, okay? You don't want to have hardly any paint on there because you want it to be really obscure. And you're going to get a little bit of that green, a little bit of that violet color, and it's really, really, really watery, okay? And you're just going to kind of go around the trees, and you're just going to add a little bit of water in there, okay? So you're going to like soften all those lines, okay? So instead of having sharp edges, you're just kind of going around and getting all that white space in between the trees really, really soft colors, okay? You're just filling in all those spaces, okay? Just like that. All right, you just kind of wanted to have more of like a feel of a forest and not like just trees on a watercolor. Okay, so you're gonna want to watercolor gently all those areas, okay? So it looks kind of like a foggy, I kind of think it looks like a foggy forest, okay? All right. Or maybe like a little mist, you know? Okay. So there's our trees. And right now is an awesome time to go back, and if you want to add anything, or you want to make your trees darker, or you want to make your mountains darker, maybe kind of come back with your green and some violet, get a little bit more paint on there, and you can just go right over your mountains. They've dried. So you can kind of add some color to those, okay? If you think those look too obscure. Or you can make them thicker. Okay. So you can always go back and add things, change things on your watercolor. All right, do another layer, okay? So there's our mountains, there's our trees, and our very last step that we have to do is our words. So, the easiest thing I can say about words is you just want to make sure that you're real smooth whenever you're writing them. I find it makes it easier if you just kind of continuously go instead of like do a letter, stop, do a letter, stop. And now you could always grab a pencil and kind of sketch out your words first with a pencil and then erase what you don't like and then use this later, okay? Of course that's an option. But I would try to keep your words centered, okay? So you might want to have merry and bright, okay? So they kind of go right across the picture. So if you want to use different words like happy holidays, still the same thing, you know, happy holidays or merry Christmas. So you always want to kind of keep your words centered, or that space between your words in the center, okay? So take a cup off your Sharpie. And we are just going to write merry and bright, okay? Remember, you can write whatever you want to write. All right, so I'm just going to start over here. We want our and symbol to kind of be in the center. So I'm going to start right here and go ahead and put my and symbol in the center. That way I know my word has to stop by the time it gets to the and symbol, okay? And then I'm going to start up here, and I'm just going to write cursive. You are more than welcome to do whatever you want, okay? So there's Mary, okay? And then we want to kind of keep it in line with the next word. So we'll kind of like draw an imaginary line, and you want to know that your word has to be over here that says bright. It needs to be right on that line, okay? So Mary and, whoops. Merry and bright. Okay, so our picture is now finished, and I hope you had so much fun. Looking at my words, I now realize I wrote a little bit sideways. If you want to do another art box, go to our website, theartisticbox.com, and feel free to order whatever box you want for yourself or for a gift. I hope you had so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me today.